Shalom, family. This is Elder Jenkins with the King James Bible University. And I want to speak to you on the topic, the day of doom shall be the end of this time. Family, we know that we're living in some trying times. And we need to be focused on our Heavenly Father and be about our Heavenly Father's business. Focus on His Word and allowing His Spirit, Christ, to lead and guide us in the pathway of righteousness. So I don't plan on being before you very long, but we're going to go through this teaching and allow the Most High God of Israel to minister to us through His precepts. So let's go ahead and get started with this teaching. It's my prayer that someone will gain some understanding from this teaching. The day of doom shall be the end of this time. So we're going to start at the book of Genesis, and we'll hit Genesis chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. It says, "This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God, Yahweh, created man, in the likeness of Yahweh made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them." In other words, he gave them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created. Sirach, chapter 17, or either Ecclesiasticus for some, verses 3 through 9. He endued them with strength by themselves, and made them male and female according to his image, and put the fear of man upon all flesh, and gave him dominion over beasts and fowls, over other nations. They received the use of the 5 operations of the Creator. And in the 6th place, he imparted them understanding. And in the 7th, speech, an interpreter of the cogitations thereof. Counsel and a tongue, and eyes and ears, and a heart gave he them to understand. Withal he filled them with the knowledge of understanding, and showed them good and evil. This is something I want you to put a star by, verse 6. When he said he showed them good and evil, put a star by that. Verse 7. Put a star by verse 7. Verse 8, he set his eye, meaning what? He set his understanding, his singleness of understanding upon their hearts, that he might show them the greatness of his works. So I want you to put a star by verse 8 as well, because we're going to refer back to this, verse 7 and 8. Let's put a star there. Verse 9, he gave them to glory in his marvelous acts forever, that they might declare his works with understanding. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 15 through 17. He says, "In the Spirit of God, the Spirit of Yahweh took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it." In other words, to teach the way. He filled them with the spirit of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. He blessed them, male and female, and called their name Adam. Now he put him in the garden to dress it and to keep it. to teach them and keep them in the way. This is what he have done. Verse 16. He say, and the Spirit of Yahweh commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. Meaning what? You may freely learn. You may learn of. You may learn from these spirits that's in a garden. He said, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it. In other words, thou shalt not learn of it. For in the day that thou eatest, thou learnest thereof, thou shalt surely die. So he's giving us some clear information here. So let's hit Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1 through 5. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Spirit of Yahweh had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat, meaning what? We may learn of the fruit of the wisdom of the knowledge of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the wisdom of the knowledge of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Yahweh have said, ye shall not eat of it. You shall not learn of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So right there, we clearly see that it wasn't even supposed to learn, touch, have any interaction with this old serpent. Verse 4, it says, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. They're telling her a lie. He said, for God knoweth that in the day ye eat thereof, in the day that ye learn thereof, then shall your eyes, then shall your understandings shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, these Lord or little God gods, meaning idols, knowing good and evil. Now, something I want you to pay attention to, family. This is something I really want you to pay attention to. Look here in verse 5 where it says, for God do know that in the day that ye eat, meaning that ye learn thereof, then your eyes, plural, meaning what? Your understandings, plural, shall be open. In other words, this serpent is injecting the split tongue doctrine right here. This is the ancient and honorable at its finest. Sowing a little doubt. Now he's injecting a split tongue doctrine. He said, then shall your understandings be open. But let's go travel back over here to Sirach, where I had you to put the star. Sirach 17, and let's look at verse 8. Let's read verse 8. He say, he set his eye, singular. See, the old serpent put eyes, plural, meaning understandings, having double understanding, being double-minded, being double-tongued. You're serving God in mammon, the ancient and honorable, and you're trying to serve the ancient of days. It don't work like that. But he say he set his eye, his understanding upon their hearts, that he might show them the greatness of his works. This is clear. The Most High have a clear understanding is single. It's singular. He have one doctrine. It's singular. But on the flip side, over here in Genesis chapter 3, we see this old serpent, the ancient and honorable, the old Satan. He has a split tone doctrine. He's saying the eyes and the understandings of them both. No, let me go back to verse 5. Yeah, verse 5. He said, for God doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, meaning ye learn thereof, then your understandings shall be open. In other words, you're going to have multiple doctrines you're going to be running. You're going to be having multiple tongues instead of one tongue. You're going to be a mouthpiece for the ancient and honorable. He said, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. This is what's going on. Let's get some more information about this old tree in the garden, this old king of sin. Let's go to Ezekiel. Let's gather some more information. Chapter 31, verses 3 through 8. He said, behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon with fair branches and with a shadowing shroud. It's the same serpent that we're talking about. He said, in high stature. And his top was among the thick boughs. The waters made him great. It's the wisdom and the knowledge. The deep set him up on high with her rivers running about round about his plants, and sent out her little rivers unto all the trees of the field. Therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field, and his boughs were multiplied, and his branches became long because of the multitude of waters when he shot forth. All the fowls of heaven made their nests in his bow, and under his branches did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young. And under his shadow dwelled all great nations. Thus was he fair in his greatness, in the length of his branches, for his root was by great waters. The cedars in the garden of God could not hide him. The fir trees were not like his boughs, and the chestnut trees were not like his branches, nor any tree in the garden of God was like unto him in his beauty. I have made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of God envied him. Therefore thus said the Creator Yahweh, because thou hast lifted up thyself in the height, and he hath shot up his top among the thick boughs, and his heart is lifted up in his height. I have therefore delivered him into the hand of the mighty one of the heathen. He shall surely die with him. I have driven him out for his wickedness. And the strangers, the terrible of the nations, have cut him off and have left him upon the mountains and in all the valleys. His branches are fallen, and his boughs are broken by all the rivers of the land. And all the people of the earth are gone down from his shadow and have left him. Upon his ruin shall all the fowls of the heaven remain, and all the beasts of the field shall be upon his branches, to the end that none of all the trees by the waters exalt themselves for their height, neither shoot up their top among the thick boughs, neither their trees stand up in their height. All that drink water learn this knowledge, for they are delivered unto death, to the nether parts of the earth, in the midst of the children of men, with them that go down to the pit. Thus said the Creator Yahweh, in the day when he went down to the grave, I caused a mourning. I covered the deep for him, and I restrained the floods thereof, and the great waters were stayed. And I caused Lebanon to mourn for him, and all the trees of the field fainted for him. I made the nations to shake at the sound of his fall, when I cast him down to hell with them that descend into the pit. And all the trees of Eden, the choice and best of Lebanon, all that drink water, that learn this knowledge, shall be comforted in the nether parts of the earth. They also went down into hell with him unto them that be slain with the sword. And they that were his arm, his strength, that dwell under his shadow, in the midst of the heathen, the adversaries against God. To whom art thou thus like in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet shalt thou be brought down with the trees of Eden unto the nether parts of the earth. Thou shalt lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that be slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh, the king of sin, and all his multitude, said the Creator Yahweh. So he's letting us know this is Pharaoh, the old king of sin. Let's get some more information. Genesis chapter 3, verses 6 down to 13. He says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, meaning what? It was good for learning, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired, and to make one wise. See, it's pleasant to the different understandings. She took of the fruit thereof, meaning what? She took of the wisdom of the knowledge thereof, and did eat and did learn, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did learn. And the eyes, the understandings of them both were open. And they knew that they were naked, meaning what? They knew that they was full of sin. They was in sin. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves apron. In other words, when their understandings was open, they had another covering. They covered with another covering that was not of the Most High. Verse 8, he said, and they heard the voice of the Spirit of Yahweh walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Spirit of Yahweh amongst the trees in the garden. And the Spirit of Yahweh called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, I was sinful, and I hid myself. And he said, who told thee thou was naked? Who told thee thou was sinful? Hast thou eaten, hast thou learned of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not learn? And the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with me. Wow. She gave me of the tree, and I did eat, I did learn. And the Spirit of Yahweh said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did learn. So this old spirit, this old ancient and honorable spirit, it beguiled them. It lied and told them lies. And they got beguiled. They got done up. And they did learn from this old serpent. This old split-tongued spirit that's two-legged in the form of a man or a woman that teaches these lies. They got caught up. Isaiah chapter 30, verses 1-3. He says, woe to the rebellious children, said the Spirit of God, that take counsel, but not of me. You gonna learn from this tree that I told you not to learn from. See, truth be told, you got a lot of these serpents that stand behind pulpits every week. Then camp meetings, a lot of them on YouTube channels that's teaching other doctrines. He say, you gonna be rebellious and take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my Spirit, that they may add sin to sin. They're gonna sew fig leaves and aprons around themselves. They're covering with another covering, but not of the Spirit of Yahweh. He gave them straight commandments what they should do to live. But they didn't want to do it. Verse 2, he said that walked to go down into Egypt in a house of confusion, and have not asked at my mouth. You hadn't asked at my doctrine or of my understanding, of my eye, meaning my single eye, my single understanding, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, the king of sin, the same one that we just saw here in Ezekiel 31:18. He said, to whom art thou thus like in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet shalt thou be brought down with the trees of Eden unto the nether parts of the earth. Thou shalt lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that be slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his multitude, said the Creator Yahweh. This is the king of sin. That's what he's telling us. The king of sin. He says in Isaiah 30:3, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh, the king of sin, be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of the house of confusion in Egypt. It's going to be your confusion. That's what's going on. Genesis chapter 3, verse 14-15. He said, and the Spirit of Yahweh said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field, upon thy belly shalt thou go. So in other words, you won't even be able to be upright and the sun shining on you, shining light on you, shining wisdom on you. You won't be none of that because your belly is going to be to the ground. You're going to be licking up the dust. You're going to be learning these old fleshly things, and the wisdom of God will not ever go into you. He said, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and the dust shalt thou eat, shalt thou learn all the days of thy life. So you're going to just be having dust for your learning. So if you're learning dust, you can't do nothing but teach dust. That's what's going on. You're not going to have no vision. You're not going to have no dreams. You're not going to have no wisdom. You're not going to have no knowledge. You're not going to have no understanding of the Most High. Say the dust shall thou eat all the days of thy life. You just going to be just blowing up smoke with your messages. You're going to be hooping and hollering and getting the people to shout, and you saying a whole lot, but you ain't saying nothing. You're moving your mouth and sound coming out your voice, and you ain't saying nothing that's going to help them. Verse 15. He said, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, O serpent, and between thy seed and her seed. In other words, I'm going to put enmity between thy seed, meaning the word that you trying to teach, which is full of lies, and her seed, the word that I have prepared for her, that is going to be filled with knowledge and understanding. It's going to be a separation between the two. He said, between thy seed and her seed, between thy word and her word, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And I want to look at this another way here. Let's look at it. Let's look at it a different way. So I want to show this old serpent. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 15. The serpent and his seed. He says, the ancient and honorable, he is the head. And the prophet that teacheth lies, he is the tail. See, his seed, his word, he teaching lies. Verse 16 say, for the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. They are destroyed. So it's letting us know that serpent, that Adam, male and female, was learning from in the garden, clearly let us know it was a prophet. Because this prophet was the one that was teaching lies, the one that was speaking to them and sowing doubt into them. And it's the prophet of the ancient and honorable, prophet of Satan. And there's a whole lot of them running around trying to get you to pay your tithes and offerings and extract your goods so they can have it. Micah chapter 3, verse 5 through 7, he said, thus said the Spirit of God concerning the prophets that make my people err, that bite with their teeth, with their seed, with their word, with their doctrine, with their lies, and cry peace, and he that put it not into their mouths, They even prepare war against him. Therefore, for that reason, night shall be unto you, that ye shall not have a vision, and it shall be dark unto you, that ye shall not divine. And the sun shall go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them. Then shall the seers be ashamed, and the diviners confounded. Yea, they shall all cover their lips, for there is no answer of Yahweh. So in other words, it's not going to be no vision. It's going to be nightness. You're going to be full of darkness. Say the sun shall go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them. So he's letting us know, family, this is what's going down with these ones that work for the ancient and honorable. So now let's look on the flip side. And he said he was putting enmity between the serpent seed and her seed, the woman's seed. So let's look here and let's get the flip side, dealing with the woman's seed, the word of God, the spirit of God. Let's go here to Jeremiah. And let's hit chapter 3, verse 14 and 15. He says, "Turn, O backsliding children, said the Spirit of God, for I am married unto you. I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. Not only that, including I will give you pastors, these teachers, these feeders, according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding." See, we just saw the other side of the coin where the ancient and honorable, he is the head. And as prophet that teacheth lies, he is the tail. He said the leaders of this people cause them the air, and they that are led of them are destroyed. But now he's showing us where the Spirit of God say, I am married unto you, and I'm going to gift you with these pastors according to mine heart, and they are going to feed you with knowledge and understanding. It said Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 18 and 19. He's saying, I will raise them up a prophet. See, this ain't talking about the ones of the ancient and honorable. The Most High say, I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, meaning in the midst of their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth. He's going to be a mouthpiece for me. He's going to be my spokesperson. He's saying he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, meaning in my way, I will require it of him. This is crystal clear, showing that separation between his seed and her seed. Exodus chapter 23, verse 20 down to 22. He says, behold, I send an angel, meaning a messenger, before thee, to keep thee in the way. In other words, to dress thee and to keep you, to teach you, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions. For my name, meaning my way, is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies and an adversary unto thine adversaries. Let's look here, and I want to show another separation that I like to pull Paul information because I can understand it so clearly. Because what I want you to see, family, is, let's go back over there before we go to Paul. Right here in Genesis chapter 3. And we hit verse, see here. Verse 14 and 15. He said, and the Spirit of God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So over here in Paul, what I want to show is we have two laws that's over us. You have one that's over our mind, and you have one that's over our flesh, and we have to choose which one we want to serve. When I say two laws, you can look at it as two spirits. The spirit is over the flesh, and you have a spirit that's over your mind. So we have to make a choice. There's a plumb line that's in the midst of his people Israel. We have to choose wisely. So let's go over here to Paul, and Paul breaks this down and he make it plain for the listener, the reader. Romans chapter 7, verse 14 down to 25. He says, for we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold unto sin. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good. Now then, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good, I find not. For the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Now, if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man, but I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. See, family, this verse 23 right here is letting us know it's a great war going on within our members. Going right back to this verse here in Genesis 3:15, he said, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. We see it's a war that's going on. Paul, he explains this so clear. It's a law that's over our flesh, over our members, and it's a law that's over our mind. And we need to be following the one that's over our mind, not the one that's over our flesh. It's the one we need to be following. Verse 24, he said, "O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death?" I think Yahweh, through salvation, the anointed one, Yahweh Shah the Messiah, our creator, so then with my mind I serve the law of Yahweh, but with the flesh, the law of sin. Matter of fact, I didn't have this in the teaching, but I'm going to just go here to where we can clearly see where the Most High, what he did. Right here in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 21, he said, and the Spirit of God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Spirit of God had taken from man, he made he a woman and brought her unto the man. So in other words, the Most High took away one of Adam's spirits and gave him his own spirit. And then in verse 23, he said, and Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. So when the Most High closed up the flesh instead thereof and gave him his spirit, it's the same thing that Paul is speaking of right here in Romans 7. He said, I thank God through Yahweh Shah the Messiah, salvation, the anointed one, our creator, so then with the mind, the same law that is over our mind. He said, I myself serve the law of Yahweh. But with the flesh, the law of sin. So we don't want to be trying to do both. We want to be dead unto sin and living unto the Spirit of God, mortifying this flesh daily. This flesh try to rise up. You have to put this flesh under subjection. Kill it off. Live unto the Spirit of God. Following after this flesh will get us caught up, family. And get us out of the will of the Most High. Instead of us traveling the narrow road with him, we'll be on our own broad road and on our own journey to destruction. Let's keep going. 2nd Esdras, chapter 4, verse 29 to 30. He said, if therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and of the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that is sown with good. For the grain of evil seed have been sown in the heart of Adam, male and female, from the beginning. And how much ungodliness have it brought up unto this time? And how much shall it yet bring forth unto the time of threshing come? It's asking a question. This time of a visitation. 2nd Esdras, chapter 7. We hit verse 41 down to 70. He says, even so now, seeing corruption is grown up and wickedness increase, and the righteous have prayed for the ungodly, wherefore shall it not be sown now also? He answered me and said, this present life is not the end, where much glory doth abide. Therefore have they prayed for the weak. But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past, intemperance is at an end, infidelity is cut off, righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up. Then shall no man be able to save him that is destroyed, nor to oppress him that have gotten the victory. I answered then and said, this is my first and last sin, that it had been better not to have given the earth unto Adam, or else when it was given him to have restrained him from sinning. For what profit is it for men now in this present time to live in heaviness, after death to look for punishment? O thou Adam, what hast thou done? For thou it was thou that sinned. For though it was thou that sinned, thou art not fallen alone, but we all that come of thee. For what profit is it unto us, if there be promise us in immortal time, whereas we have done the works that bring death, and that there is promised us an everlasting hope, whereas ourselves being most wicked are made vain, and that there are laid up for us dwellings of health and safety, whereas we have lived wickedly, and that the glory of the Most High is kept to defend them which have led a weary life, whereas we have walked in the most wicked ways of all, and that there should be showed a paradise whose fruit endureth forever, wherein is security and medicine, since we shall not enter into it. For we have walked in unpleasant places, and that the faces of them which have used abstinence shall shine above the stars, whereas our faces shall be blacker than darkness, no knowledge, no understanding. For while we lived and committed iniquity, we considered not that we shall begin to suffer for it after death. Then answered he me and said, this is the condition of the battle which man that is born upon the earth shall fight. That if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said. But if he get the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say. For this is the life whereof Moses spake unto the people while he lived, saying, choose thee life that thou mayest live. Nevertheless, they believe not him, nor yet the prophets after him, no, nor me which have spoken unto them, that there should not be such heaviness in their destruction, as shall be joy over them that are persuaded to salvation. I answered then and said, I know, Lord, that the Most High is called merciful, and that he have mercy upon them which are not yet come into the world, and upon those also that turn to his law, and that he is patient and long suffered those that have sinned as his creatures, and that he is bountiful, for he is ready to give where it needed, and that he is of great mercy, for he multiplieth more and more mercies to them that are present and that are past, and also to them which are to come. For if he shall not multiply his mercies, the world will not continue with them that inherit therein. And he pardoned, for if he did not so of his goodness, that they which have committed iniquities might be eased of them, the 10,000 part of men should not remain living. And being judged, if he should not forgive them that are cured with his word, and put out the multitude of contentions, there should be very few left peradventure in an innumerable multitude. 2nd Esdras chapter 8, verse 1 through 3. He says, and he answered me saying, the Most High have made this world for many, and the world to come for few. I will tell thee a similitude, Esdras, as when thou askest the earth, it shall say unto thee, that it giveth much more whereof earthen vessels are made. But little dust that gold cometh of. Even so is the course of this present world. There be many created, but few shall be saved. See, it's so many is going to be beguiled by the serpent, the ancient and honorable, and his prophets that teach it lies, following after his seed, after his word, after his doctrine, after his understandings, and not after the doctrine of the Most High, the understanding of the Most High, the truth, knowledge, and wisdom of the Most High. He said there be many created, but few shall be saved. Psalms 130, verses 7 and 8. He says, let Israel hope in the Spirit of God. For with the Spirit of God there is mercy, and with him is plenteous redemption. And he shall redeem Israel from all his iniquities. Keep in mind what we just read, family. 2nd Esdras 8 and 3. There be many created, but few shall be saved. Chapter 7 and verse 43. He say, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come. When corruption is past, intemperance is at an end, infidelity is cut off, and righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up. So family, let us not be beguiled by the serpent, the ancient and honorable, and his prophets that teaches lies. We don't even need to entertain that spirit. We don't even need to have no engagement with anyone that have a split-tongue doctrine. Because if we do so, we can learn right here in Revelations chapter 6 and verse 13, still talking about the woman in the garden. It says, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind, meaning what? A mighty spirit. The Most High told her, you don't learn from this tree, you don't touch it, you don't do none of these things. You don't go talk and having conversations with the tree. But she called herself having a conversation with that serpent, that prophet, that teacher that was teaching lies, trying to teach to him what was taught to her. He sowed that little doubt in there. You shall surely not die. Soon as he said that, she was shaken with that spirit, shaken of a mighty wind. So we clearly see, family, how slick and subtle this serpent was. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For Yahweh know that in the day that ye learn thereof, then your understanding shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. See, this serpent told a big fat lie. Because the other reason why I had you to put that star in that verse, I believe it was verse 7 or verse 6 over in Sirach chapter 17, because we see this lie that this serpent untold. We can prove that he was lying as we get ready to close, because in Sirach chapter 17 and verse 7, it says, withal he filled them with knowledge of understanding and showed them good and evil. So we see the Most High had already showed them these things. But they fell for the lie. They fell for the hook of the Leviathan. And this is how easy you can get caught up. So family, like I said, I was planning on being before you long, and I just wanted to show these bits and pieces in scripture to show how easy we can get caught up in not only that piece with Paul letting us know it's a law that's over our mind and it's a law that's over our flesh. We got to choose wisely who we're going to serve. So family, I'm going to say a shalom to everyone. I hope you have a wonderful Sabbath day as we begin this Sabbath morning, a day of learning and meditating and salawing. Most of all, let us study to show ourselves approved. A workman needed not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So I'm going to say a shalom to everyone. Until we meet again, shalom.